We'll be back from the break, and as we continue with our discussions, just to remind you that the markets on the Zabo platform are already open. Star 292 hash for the MTN subscribers to start investing in various bonds. Zabo says no hassle, as your money is your future. So let your money start making some good rounds for you. Kickstart your investment journey with the platform by Altex East Africa, which is Zabo. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. These markets are only closed during weekends and during public holidays, but the rest of the days you'll be able to invest in bonds and securities with just a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, and the only registration tool you need is your national identification number, and of course you will be able to kickstart the journey to investment. Well, in that way, or in that regard, kickstart it off today with Zabo. And now we return with our discussion here to do with the employment, our discussion to do with income tax, especially from the employment sector. I'm still with Mr. TWAHA KAYONDO Mlangira from the Domestic Taxes Department. Now, I did mention that we're going to be looking at the rights and obligations of employees in regards to the employment income.
Yes.
So, what are the obligations of the employees mainly?
You realize that we talked about the obligations of the employer.
Okay.
But then we can't go without talking what are the obligations to this side as the employee.
Okay.
Yes. You realize that if someone is deriving income from more than one source, okay, more than one source, is supposed to complete a return and declare all those sources. For example, you could be having income from rented properties, side businesses, total tax paid at source, that is from the employers, such as pay as you earn, or any other tax that has been paid in the provisional income tax return should be filed and declared. But this will exclude the presumptive tax regime.
Okay.
And then you realize that they also have rights, and the rights are an employee is not required to furnish a return if he only earns solely from one official employment. Okay. For instance, JORAM, you are employed by Smart 24,
okay,
and you don't have any other employment, and you don't have any other income source. This is your sole income source. You're not required to file a periodic monthly return because this money is deducted at source and the accountability is done at source. The filing is done by the employer. So you're not obliged. So you're right. You have a right not to file a return. And then you realize that in the event that there is any tax that has been charged on you and has been paid, that is tax overpaid, you're entitled, you have a right to ask for a refund from the Uganda Revenue Authority. And yes, it shall be granted. Okay. And then you're entitled to accountability for all the taxes that have been deducted from you by your employer.
Okay. That is as an employee?
Yes, you have a right. You have a right to know how much has been deducted,
okay,
and how it has been furnished,
okay,
to URA. And in the event that you realize that perhaps you have a doubting Thomas, you can get the nearest URA
officers and see how things
and
are.
say, please, my
okay,
employer is Smart 24, and I'm not sure whether the taxes deducted are furnished to URA. I'm suspicious. Then we have the tool to check our system and see if your name is appearing on the tax return of your employer. And the event that it is not there, then you act in good faith as a whistleblower, whom we shall hold with high regard and respect, with utmost confidentiality, but then you will have aided us to go and tackle the non-compliance of your employer.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, what are the common risks made by taxpayers during the filing or declaration of the pay as you earn?
And there are several of them that mention. I will let you know, listeners and viewers at Smart 24 and JORAM definitely, because you're with me here.
Okay.
Is that there is a common error of employers omitting, either erroneously, intentionally, deliberately, not to include the tax identification numbers of their employees. Please let them take this note, but there is a public notice that ran, that was that was published around January this year, and it mandates all employers to include tax identification numbers of their employees in the tax return, the pay return.
Okay.
And that error is being made, and we request that the anomaly be rectified. We are still talking, and we shall talk, you know. And then you realize that some employers don't include they don't include the benefits in kind. So the non-inclusion of the benefits in kind that these employees get. For example, they could be having housing as a benefit in kind. Remember, we talked about a benefit in kind last time.
Yes.
And then you could be having a vehicle and you're utilizing it for personal, for personal reasons at specific times. So that comes to be a benefit in kind, and therefore it is supposed to be included in the pay return. The other one is failure to remit. You're required to file by the 15th. Yes, you file, but you fail to remit the amounts due. Therefore, they will have defaulted. You've accounted that I have collected so much, and then you default to pay. That's an anomaly, and it normally attracts sometimes, actually not sometimes, the moment you go beyond the specific dates as stipulated in the Income Tax Act and the Tax Procedures Code that governs how tax administration is conducted in Uganda, then you'll be penalized. Then, of course, the non-filing, the others who fail to file, even when we... Deliberately. Could be deliberately, could be because of certain reasons, and when you do it today and the next month, then you can't, it becomes deliberate. So if you don't file, you're becoming non-compliant, and it becomes a risk on your side, on your tax profile, because you realize that there are many things, you know, JORAM and the viewers, the taxman is supposed to facilitate business. True. We are not merely collecting, and we are supposed to be drivers of business growth. So you realize that along the way, as you're interfacing in your business transactions, you will have to want URA to recommend you, because you realize that if you're dealing with a PPDA, procuring in government institutions, and provision of services, you go through bidding. And this bidding requires that you must be cleared by Uganda Revenue Authority with a tax clearance certificate. So such errors, the persistent non-filing, the persistent non-remittance of pay collected, not including teams of individuals, employees into the pay return, and then you may have variances with other statutory deductions, because they are supposed to be moving together. If there is a wide variance of the amounts that you're remitting to, say, NSSF, it's a tip-off that there is perhaps some under-declaration somewhere. And such common mistakes, common risks, will lead you to be subjected to more verification before URA offers or approves your tax clearance certificate. And for business purposes, remember, we are saying we are supposed to be drivers of business. Then at around that stage, you'll be enabled to compete favorably. and then you will lose out on business.
Okay.
What is my call to the taxpayers and listeners out there, viewers, is that let's try to keep within the set parameters of being compliant as employers. Avoid these other challenges that will interrupt their smooth running and development and growth of business.
Now, in an event the tax has been defaulted, what happens after that?
The tax specifically we are dealing in closely today is pay as you earn. And the event the tax is defaulted, the burden and the law requires that the employer accounts and pays for the tax that has been defaulted.
Okay.
And in the event that there was an error that the employer did not withhold from the employee, then they can discuss as stakeholders in the business they are dealing in, because I mean they have a relationship. You can say, hey, look here, I was supposed to withhold so much, but I did not. So this month I'm going to take it off. But for us as URA, we are saying that the employer takes the burden to pay these amounts of money in question that should have been deducted at source.
All right. And now let's also look at return filing as we're summing up with our discussion this Thursday morning. What happens, what goes on, and what are the key things that we look at as the taxpayer so that the employees get to know about them as well?
Definitely, I'm going to be general in particular because we are in a very good month. We are in a peak collection month for URA, at URA, and I can't really get out of this podium without discussing this.
Yeah.
You realize that employers and ladies, gentlemen, non-individuals, companies, NGOs who are out there are supposed to withhold pay as you earn. And upon withholding it at the end of the month, they are given a period of 15 days at the commencement of the new month, following the month within which they have withheld the pay as you earn. They are supposed to withhold that, file a return by 15th, which is the due date. Meaning they have from 1st at leisure, but they can't exceed the 15th. So you realize that right now, the amounts of money that were withheld from the salaries that were paid in November is due today. And what is my call? I'm rallying all the employers. Please, let's not get caught off guard by midnight. The clock is ticking, and I'm saying we should file these returns today. But looking closely at December, as I highlighted, we have mandatory annual returns that have to be filed. Okay. And I can't move out without talking about this. For example, for the fiscal year that started from July, that is 2022-2023, all companies are required to file their provisional income tax return by the 31st of December this month. They have had a long spell of 5 months, and this is the 6th month. Remember last time when I said that the 6th month following the commencement of the fiscal or the accounting period of the taxpayer must file a provisional tax income return. And a provisional income tax return is simply painting a picture. It's a sneak peek on how you project your incomes in the financial year in question. You say, hey, I think looking at the way events are unfolding, I expect to earn so much, and therefore the tax due perhaps will be so much. And that's the provisional income tax return. Okay. And then if you are someone who is accounting, a normal accounting period for government, I have to echo this, that by the 31st of December, if your financial year of income,
Okay.
for URA purposes, lapsed on the 30th of June for fiscal year 2021-2022, you are required to file a final income tax return by the 31st or by the last date of December this month. That implies that the painting of the picture you painted for us by the 31st of December in 2021, where you were trying you're looking at events but not sure, you painted a picture, that's a provision. Now you're coming and telling us, hey, the year ended 30th June. And between 1st July to 30th December, I have reviewed all my records, all my earnings. I have actually come out with audited books of accounts and declare the final income tax due. Final income tax due is either in a positive or in the negative. Positive in such a way that there is tax to pay because you earn the profits, and the event that you are in losses, still you file and declare the losses, and there is no tax that will be required to be paid.
Oh, okay.
And I can't go down without saying that we have other tax heads that require monthly filing, like value-added tax. So whoever collected or collected money on behalf of government for purposes of value-added tax, because they are registered value-added tax collectors on behalf of government, are supposed to file a return by close of business today.
Okay.
For the businesses or services offered in the month of November. Today is the due date. And if they fail, they know value-added tax has interest rate, but with a compounding interest. You remember our simple mathematics in primary, where we did simple interest and then compounding interest?
Yes.
Yes. So for value-added tax, the penalty, the interest is compounding if you fail to fulfill the obligation. Then we also have guys who are dealing in production: soda, mineral water, Renzoli spice water, okay, pot water. They are also supposed to account for local excise duty. That's a tax or a levy that is charged on commodities that are excisable and gazetted with the laws of Uganda, produced locally, to pay that charge. So they are supposed to also account for that by the end of for all the production quantities that were made in the month of November. And lastly, withholding tax.
Okay.
Whoever is designated as the withholding tax agent for supplies and businesses, for supplies and services, in the event that you withheld money, or even if you didn't, but you are designated, you're required to file a return. I'm allowing you to file a return by close of business today because it's the due date for this monthly tax set. And then, since we are in November, I believe there are going to be many challenges. People are all running around the corners to beat the deadlines. And then there are those who wait at the 11th hour. And when all the clients, most of them want to do things at the 11th hour, you realize that the systems sometimes are overwhelmed. Okay?
Yeah,
the infrastructure may get overwhelmed. And so I request that, my call is that let us do these things when we have time and avoid the 11th minute hurry.
Okay.
You don't catch the train when it's setting off.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So in the event that they have issues, we have contacts, and these contacts are at their service.
Oh.
We have toll-free lines where I'm supposed to echo them out, and in the event that they have issues and they want to get to us direct, they can reach URA using a toll-free line 0800 117000. They can also decide to contact us using the email at URA, and our official email is services@ura.go.ug. JORAM, we are also trying to reposition, and technology can't leave us aside. You know very well that all companies and individuals are doing online business on WhatsApp. And if I'm the tax administrator and then I lag behind, then I'm missing a point.
Very true.
We also have a WhatsApp number, and therefore our WhatsApp number is 0772 140000. And the beauty about this is that you can choose the language. You select the language option, either for now, English and Luganda. But the beauty about this is that I promise we are working around the clock to factor in all the languages. We have a fully flagged client support team that has been or is still training in all the languages, even the Chinese, French and Spanish. At one point, you realize that we will be able to engage you at URA. And what I can say is that together with them at URA, we shall be developing Uganda together.
All right. And many thanks for joining us again, Mr. TWAHA Kayondo Mlangira from the Domestic Taxes Department, Uganda Revenue Authority, and surely every Thursday in regards to discussions to do with tax mobilization, trainings, and tax understanding taxes in the country. We shall be discussing all these throughout from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. here on the show. But meanwhile, the show does continue immediately after the break, so stick around. We still have more updates coming up, including the SMB on ground.